Hey, what's up guys? I'm Danny, your friendly neighborhood colorist. And it's been quite a while since I uploaded a new video on this channel because I was like super busy for the last 2 months doing client work and stuff like that. So as 2022 is coming to an end, I have some people coming to my DMs and asking me like, how do you become a colorist? Like, how do you do it full-time as a job? So in this video today, I want to break down some of the behind the scenes and the kind of mindset that I really go into before I decided to become a full-time colorist. Before we get into how to become a colorist, I just want to give you a bit of context about the film industry in Malaysia, or more specifically the post-production industry in Malaysia. So we do have some of the larger players in the post-production industry like Basecamp, but there's not a lot of it. It's not that saturated like in US or in, I don't know, Canada, China even. So for you to actually break through as a niche into these kind of markets, it's not that difficult compared to in the other countries, because you can see that on every shoot, commercial or even film, there has to be a colorist. If not, who's gonna grade the video, right? So overall, the market for colorists in Malaysia is not that saturated. We even did a meetup once and it was like less than 20 of us, although not everyone showed up, but there's like 20 of us for the whole of Malaysia. So you can kind of imagine the demand for a colorist. And I'm talking about like full-time colorists, people that actually go deep within it, not those kind of slash titles like director slash colorist, DP slash colorist. Nothing wrong with that, but usually as a colorist, you have to be at your station to prepare in case the director wants to come in or there's any comments from the client. So if you're out there on set directing something, you won't have the time to service the client. That's why it's always better to hire a full-time colorist so that you can make changes last minute if necessary. So enough about that, let's actually get into how to become a colorist. So there is like two ways that you can become a colorist. The first one is that you go to film school, you make some connections with the post-production houses, then you start off from the bottom and then start to work your way up to a colorist in the post-production house or maybe even some production houses. And to do that, you have to go through, 3 years of film school, and then maybe in the beginning you won't even get to touch color grading. You'll be mostly assisting the senior colorists to conform their timelines and stuff like that. So this might be the more slower but steadier approach to becoming a colorist, because you can learn under someone who is more senior and more experienced, which is preferable for someone that just wants a steady job and get to learn color grading as their own pace, or as their senior colorist slowly teaches them from the basics and stuff, which is good, but it's kind of slow. And the second way that you can actually become a colorist is by just doing it, just offering the services. And maybe sometimes you have to go through try and error, and sometimes you'll fuck up one or two things, then yeah, that happens, but you get to learn from your mistakes and your progress might even be faster, and it might be the more interesting, the more adventurous route. But sometimes it's very tiring and you have to really have the passion and the motivation to actually go and learn stuff and to find out stuff, and also the business side of it, which you have to really figure out. Alright, so that was the two ways that you can actually become a colorist, but I'm gonna go deeper into the second path because that's how I became a full-time colorist. And there's only 2 steps that you have to complete in order to offer your color grading practice. So let's go with step number 1, which is to master the skill. Color grading is not just like knowing how to grade one specific camera. You have to know the workflow for color management and also color matching at the very least. And on top of that, you also have to know how to create looks and how to have a library of looks in your mind and also in your computer. So what you can do is watch tutorials online. That's what I did. I just watched like a shit ton of tutorials on YouTube, and practice is also very important. If you just watch the videos and then go to sleep, then it's not effective. And there's a lot of tutorials online that you can go and watch through it. Like I would suggest Cullen Kelly, Darren Mostin, and also Casey Ferris. Yeah, and also learn color grading, yes. And I don't take like one specific workflow, like if I watch Cullen Kelly then I follow his stuff all the way, because every colorist has their own way of doing things, but as long as the result looks good, then that's all that matters. And one more thing that you can do is also join Facebook groups online. I can link them down below if you want. And the community inside there also shares like books and blog posts that you can actually go and refer to expand your color grading knowledge. So learning is one part of it. You can start there, but there's also more to it. You need to know the technical side of things to communicate with other parties in the post-production workflow. And I think that's the key difference between an experienced colorist and an amateur one, which is the way that you can communicate with other parties. Because everyone can work in their closed system, but in order to integrate other people into the system, it takes a bit of effort and a bit of knowledge of how to really communicate with other people. And you also have to have the knowledge to troubleshoot issues when you're conforming your timeline or even when you're delivering the project. So these kind of thing doesn't really make for a good YouTube video. So I don't think there's a lot of videos about troubleshooting your export on YouTube. Most of the videos are just about the grading itself. But I can say that the grading is like maybe 40% of the work, and then the other 60% is really just conforming and then delivering the video itself. So I don't think there's a course for you to learn those kind of stuff. So the only way that you can learn is through someone that's more experienced than yourself, or you have to figure it out by going through Google or the Blackmagic design forum. So if your goal is just to be like employed as a colorist, that's all you need to do. You have to learn the grading side of things and you have to learn the technical side of things. But if you want to open your own practice or do it as a freelance, that's where step number 2 comes in, which is branding. So considering that you really mastered the skill in step number 1 and you have the knowledge already, then you can start making a portfolio of your work and share it on social media. And you can try to reach people that actually matters if you're trying to get work. People like producers, directors and DPs and so on. Just try to get the word out there that you're offering color grading services. And it might be hard for you if you're coming into this niche from a totally different background. I came from an accounting background, can you just imagine? So I know how tough that it can really be, but if your work is good, then it's only the matter of time before you get discovered by people in the industry. And one more thing that I did in the beginning was also do some test jobs or free jobs for productions so that I can really test out my skill, like the workflow going from the editor to the colorist. So I did a bit of those in order to test whether the workflow works or not, because there's no tutorial online teaching you how to go from the offline editor to the colorist to the VFX or the online, and I had to figure out everything by myself. But there's no tutorial for that for good reason also, because I just learned recently that each online process or each offline process has their own kind of system that they prefer, so there's no one way to go around it. But there is kind of a standard way that you can do it, and I hope that I can make a video on that because it's quite long and quite boring. But yeah, I have it scripted out, so let's see when I release that video. Coming back to the topic, you can also make grading tutorials like I did, because essentially what you want to do is to show people that you have the knowledge to perform the task. I mean, what better way to show that you have the knowledge by teaching it or just documenting it? But I know that not everyone is suited to teach or even speak to a microphone, because like it's not natural to be doing this. So that's the only 2 steps that you have to do in order to become a full-time colorist. And I feel that I'm simplifying quite a lot of things, but if you have anything that you want to ask, just leave them down in the comments and I'll try my best to answer. To be honest, when you come to think of it, everything's pretty simple. It's just whether you're willing to work really hard and take the risk of starting your own practice. Because as someone who is self-employed, I do get the benefits of sleeping until 10 o'clock or deciding where my company want to go, what's the direction for this year, and also keeping all the profits for myself. But most of the benefits are also offset by working overnight or spending a lot on equipment, and also the never-ending fear of being jobless. So running our own business is definitely not for everyone, but I can't imagine myself doing anything different. So that's just the way it is. So I have one question from my DM asking me whether do I get most of my jobs from remote, like international, or do I get it like domestically? And I can say that a big chunk of my jobs are mostly domestic, but I do hope that I can get more international jobs through my YouTube channel. So let's just see. And closing off this video, I just want to share a bit of my New Year resolutions. So some of the goals that I have for next year is to hire somebody to help me out on my color grading and also some social media stuff like the color breakdown. And I'm also hoping to host more color grading workshops next year for you guys, because I know that a lot of you want to learn color grading. So I'm actually working on the website page right now. Hopefully that gets to launch soon. And lastly, I would also like to pump out more tutorial videos. So like feel free to suggest things that you want to watch. I'm figuring out a system so that I can pump out more videos for you guys. So stay tuned for that. And that's about it. So happy new year guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.